What's going on, everyone? Steven here from techmaker.tv. This is building a decentralized chat with aleph.im and Node JS part 16. In the last episodes, we've kind of been working out how to add the concept of a private channel to this app. And I've got this sketch that we worked on together over here on sketch.io. And essentially, what I think I want to do is when we create a channel, that channel has an address, which is the creator of that channel. And as we looked at in one of the last episodes, it seems like the only person or the only address that can update, which is called amend, an item on the network is the person who actually created it. So what that means is, I think what we're going to do is have it where the user who created the channel, they can choose whether the channel is public or private. And if it's private, it's going to have a list of approved addresses, which will be allowed to chat on that channel. So now this isn't going to be something that's strictly enforced as it would be in a traditional app, which we discussed when we looked at this, all these little drawings down here and stuff. But what is going to be the case is what I think I'm kind of started formulating an idea here, which is what we can do is say, okay, if you want to build an app and put it on this network of decentralized apps or whatever, we can develop sort of a data protocol saying, here's what you need to implement if you want us to, make you a part of the network or whatever. Now, because it's all decentralized, people could ignore all of that and build their own apps that just do different things on top of your data. So that's something to think about. And that really gets into the second part of the problem, which we're not going to address right now, which is how can we encrypt data and then have like a decentralized access to private keys or something to an encryption key to decrypt the data that's being stored. Anyway, that's all really theoretical, and we've already discussed all of that in the previous episodes. So if you're lost, go check those out. What I'm going to do here is actually start setting up what I'm talking about, where you can actually create a private channel and have a list of allowed addresses. And I think this will probably take an episode or two, maybe more, to get worked out exactly. And then what we're going to do is have it so that, you can't chat, at least in our application, the messages won't show up that get posted if they're not in that approved list. So whenever we pull the messages back from the network, we're going to filter out stuff that's being sent by unapproved addresses. So this is kind of the mechanism I've come up with. Maybe I'll come up with something better later. But this is what we're going to do, and try to wrap this series up in the next 3 to 5 videos, maybe less, maybe more. I'm not sure exactly. And then I'm going to move on to some other things. So if you're kind of following along, this is going to get wrapped up pretty soon, and we'll go into some other topics and maybe come back and use this idea that we're working out now later for a more in-depth, standalone desktop application or something. Anyway, that's a lot of prefacing, but let's go ahead and dive in, and I'll see where we get to in this video. So as I was saying, the first thing that we need to do is back over here. We have set up, and we haven't built all this out in the interface yet, but we have this channels new route which we can go to where you can create a channel. And all I want to do here is basically have some radio buttons for public or private. That's essentially all we're going to do here. So let's go back over to the code and let's open up our channels new file, and down in here all I'm going to do is just add a radio button. So all we need to do is underneath this channel name input, I'm going to put another label like this, and we're going to say let's do type, something like that. And then let's do an input type equals radio. And then I think we'll do name equals channel. Well, let's do type. And then let's do value equals public. And we'll say this is the default one. So we'll say it's checked. And I might actually be doing this wrong. I might need to do label public like that. And I might need to put that under. Let's see. Don't always remember every little detail off the top of my head. And then we could do private here. and then we could say private on this label, I think. Let's go refresh and see what that looks like. Okay, so I don't want checked on both of them. And I'm gonna put a BR tag right there. Okay, so now we got public and private, and we can put our name. Cool. So if we go back over to index.js over here, where we create the channel, I think I'm gonna do a bit like if you follow this very much, you know, you've heard me say I've been a Rails developer, so I don't know exactly the best project structure for Node yet, and I'm gonna research that just a little bit. But anyway, so here we have post channel, so we're creating a channel, and you can see here that we've got aleph.post submit, and we're submitting to channel and so on and so forth. So I'm not actually, you know, I'm just looking at this now thinking like this architecture that I'm suggesting here might not be perfectly kind of clear and concise, because we're going to end up having sort of like an allowed address or approved address list on the actual channel, and then you're going to have this separate channel membership thing. I guess that's fine. I don't suppose that matters, because you could join a channel or request to join a channel, which we haven't built yet, and then you could get approved to be a part of it, and then you could leave the channel and then come back, and so on and so forth, and you would really only have to get that approval once. So that could be kind of interesting. Anyway, so what we need to do in here is expand a little bit on this data that we're sending across. So we have this body channel name, and actually, you know, I'm thinking I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm thinking I want to rename that, but I don't want to do it right now because I'll end up pushing this video in a different direction. So what I'm gonna do is just kind of tab that down like that, and then I'm gonna say type, and we'll put in here the request dot body dot I think it's request dot body dot type, like that. Let's check. I'm always forgetting exactly how the params come across here. So yeah, we have name right there, right? And up here we have request.body.name. So this should theoretically be request.body.type. And I'm wondering if it makes sense to just go ahead and put, you know, regardless of if it's private or public, just go ahead and put the creator's address in the list of approved addresses, if you see what I mean. So here's what I'm saying. So we could have like this approved addresses, and then just go ahead and store the account.address. And basically what this is going to do is just allow us to be sort of the default approved address, so that the creator of the channel is allowed to chat. I guess the question is, like, why do you need this, or do you need this if it's a public channel? And you don't need it, that's for sure. But does it hurt anything to have it here in both cases? I mean, it kind of hurts the fact that it might be more confusing down the line, but it lets us write less code. So maybe what we'll do is this. We'll say if let's do like var type equals, and then we'll do you know what, I'm gonna bump this all the way up here, and we'll do channel type request.body.type, like that. And we don't need to console log that out. And then what we can do is say if channel type equals private, and then we'll do an else down here like this. And what I'm gonna do is say data, let's say first of all, let's just do a var data up here, and then we'll do data equals, and then I'm going to copy all of this, and put that there. So that'll be our data in that case. Otherwise, the data, we're going to get rid of this approved address thing. And, actually, we can clean this up. I'm going to go ahead and keep the channel type here like that. We could just directly say, it's private or it's public based on that, but I don't know. Anyway, okay, so now all I need to do down here is pass in data like that. Okay, so what should happen is if I create a channel and it is private, we should have a type of private and then an approved addresses array with our address in it only. Otherwise, we should get just a body with a type and no approved addresses. So I don't know exactly how I feel about this. Like, I've done some writing before on list-god violations, and I like from the solid principles. And I think if you have an object and sometimes it has an attribute and sometimes it doesn't, you could consider that like a list-god violation. So I'm not 100% sure how I feel about this. I might have liked it better before. I don't really know what the ramifications are. I might come back to this, but for now, let's just see if this works. Okay, so we're going to have to log back in most likely. And we've been using Samantha as our username. And so now that we're in here, let's go to channels new. And let's try to create a first private channel. Okay, so let's set it to private. Let's click create and let's see what happens. Okay, so I've got my first private channel here. Let's go back over to the dashboard of the Aleph Explorer. So we have channel memberships, we have channels. So that means our thing probably worked. So you can see here that we've got our first private channel. Private is the type, and then we have approved addresses, which is an array. Okay, and let's just do a quick test again with the public to make sure that comes through. And we'll say a new public channel. And let's see how that goes. So now we have our new public channel there, general dashboard, and we got our channel. And we can see that we don't have that attribute and it is set to public. So we don't have the allowed addresses. I think that's kind of fine. One approach to this, if you wanted to unify this, would be instead of having just channels, you could have like channels and then, or like public channels and private channels as the type. I'm not totally sure about that. I think what we got is fine. There may be some things down the road. I'm kind of a design freak when it comes to this stuff, so I sit around and think about it more than I should. But that can have some benefits down the line. In any case, let's see where we are. So the next thing I need to do is actually go ahead and add the ability to, I think, add people to the allowed addresses. And I think the way that I want to approach that is by having I want to have a place where you could see a list of all the channels and then request access to private channels. And if we pull up this sketch again, so what I think I'm going to do is sort of use this channel membership object to house a little bit more data. And so what I'm thinking is, so there's going to be like a list of all the channels. So you have like a line by line, here's all the channels. And again, that's not a scalable solution, so it's just kind of a temporary deal. But on each channel, if it's public, you'll just be able to click join. And what that's going to do is create this channel membership, which will have like a status of active, like by default or something. And then if it's a private channel, what it's going to do is it's going to create a channel membership with a status of maybe something like pending. And then the creator of the channel will have a list of all the pending memberships. And so when they see those pending memberships, they can either click approve or reject. and that will either set the channel membership to active or rejected. And if they say active, it's going to go ahead and update the channel allowed addresses to include the address of this membership. I think that's the way that I'm going to do this. And again, I'm trying to keep these videos to around 15 to 20 minutes, and I think we're getting into that space, and I don't think I'll be able to get much progress done in the next few minutes on just this. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the video here, and then I think later today I'm going to make another video where we list out all the channels and make it so that a user can actually join and submit the request. And then we'll have another video after that deals with, that may take 2 videos, honestly. And then we'll have another video after that which gets into how to actually build out the approval mechanism. And then we'll verify at the end that it all works, and we'll call it a project. I don't think I'm going to get into the new Cypher stuff that I was talking about here. I might. They have an experimental JavaScript library, so me getting into that or not is going to depend on whether I can actually get that working. They said they haven't had anybody get it working yet, which is not encouraging me to tell everybody and promise that we're going to get into it. So if I can get that working, which who knows, maybe I will, then I'll incorporate it somehow, and that'll be really awesome. But otherwise, we'll cut this video series once we get this sorted out and circle back to it once I have a better understanding of the new Cypher stuff and how to do that. So anyway, this video has been way more talking than normal and less coding. So in the next one, we'll jump into setting up our index page to list out all the channels and make it so you can request access or go ahead and join if it's public. In any case, as always, thanks for watching. If you made it to this point, I really appreciate you, and I'll talk to you in the next video.